Also, each card that you have in your hand, or each suit, the highest card of each suit is worth its face value of points.
Right.
Total points is your winner. There's probably a tiebreaker. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I don't remember.
It'd be a pretty tough game to tie, just the points-wise.
We haven't done it yet, and we've played it quite a few times at lunch.
Yeah, and it hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened yet.
So we'll just go with, if there's a tie, you fight to the death.
Mm-hmm.
But suffice it to say, this is a really interesting little 15-minute, maybe 20-minute. I think you guys can play 2 games in half an hour, right?
Well, we have actually busted out 3 games in half an hour.
Have you really?
Yes.
So you've been able to, and that's with how many people?
That was with 4 people.
Wow. So by the time you understand
Mm-hmm.
the flow of the game, you can really just crank through this thing. Excellent. So, okay, so let's call this a 10 to 20 minute filler, probably closer to the 15-minute range most of the time.
It really depends how often you play it. The first couple times that we played it, it would take 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, just as the guys try to figure out.
As we played it for several days in a row, trying to figure out different approaches and strategies on how to play the game, it was like, oh, we can really knock this out even quicker.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's a ringing endorsement. Now, I haven't played this one nearly as much as you have.
Mm-hmm.
So you are the voice of expertise on this one.
Right.
You and I played this twice as a 2-player, just basically so I could teach you the rules.
Yes.
And we did basically determine that as a 2-player game, it says 2 on the box, but it's really not a 2-player game.
It really isn't a 2-player game.
It's functional.
You want to have at least 3 people.
Have you played with all 5?
Yes.
So 3, 4, 5, where did you think the best number was?
I personally liked it at like 3 and 4.
Okay.
5, you can run through the entire deck.
Hey, can you? Did you guys have the game end that way?
We have had the game end that way once.
Look at me. I'm talking. This is what I get for not playing this game more.
Well, it's because we had all 5 people in there, and we have had the game end very quickly with 3 people, where I believe it was Tony basically forced a gala show. He didn't even care how high his numbers are and how high the points are. He was trying to accumulate 10 different cards the quickest way possible, even taking 0 so he could force the game to end.
So he was kind of pressing his luck.
He was totally pressing his luck.
Just going for it, like, hey, if I can make this happen fast, I can maybe win a game with bad cards.
Yes, and we've had it happen where Matt likes to take a lot of trios.
Right.
And he had 4 sets of trios in front of him, which gives him 40 points.
Right.
And not a lot of cards in his hand. And I ended it with a gala show, and he beat me by 2 points.
Did he really?
Yes.
So the laying down the sets is a viable strategy then. It's not just totally one-dimensional trying to get the gala event.
No.
So it's almost like Tony's strategy of trying to get the quick gala event. If you see someone laying down a bunch of sets, you're sort of racing them in the belief that you think you can eke out 31 points, but then they're going to get points from their hand too. So okay, so
but it was different every time, which was the nice part.
Okay,
it was
even in the 3 times you played in one day, you had a different experience with all 3 of them.
We had a different experience every time.
That's awesome.
And
see, for me, this is a great way to review games because I have not played this game nearly enough.
No, and we really enjoyed it, and it's very easy to pick up. Like I said, I'm not usually the one that explains games. You're the guy that explains the games and gives a rundown.
Well, young Padawan, or old Padawan, as the case may be.
Right. Careful there.
You can't swear at me on the microphone.
But it was really easy for me to explain it.
Okay.
And set it up. So.
All right. Well, that's good. We have some feedback from the guys here because I did ask them to contribute some answers. I asked them some questions. John's answers kind of cracked me up a little bit. So we'll start with Colin. I basically asked the same 5 questions. What did you like about the game? What's the best thing it does? Any particularly interesting decision points? Anything you don't like? And an overall rating and why?
Right.
So Colin's answers were, number 1, it plays quick and has a couple different strategies to use. He likes that the game plays quick and the playtime is usually under 15 minutes. He did say that the 10 colors seem like a lot depending on your strategy, and sometimes 0 to 7 seems like not enough for points. So I think it sounds like he's sort of feeling his way through where the balance is there.
Right.
He did say that the rules seem slightly complicated until you play once or twice. So let's preface Colin's opinion by saying that Colin is a very casual gamer.
Yes.
He has exposure to maybe 15 different titles. So I think that's just a...
And he came in on the second or third go-around. When I explained the game, Colin wasn't there. So he kind of learned by playing. He just jumped in.
Okay.
So we had like here's your 10-second explanation of how we're playing this game, and we're going to teach you how you play it as you're going along.
Okay, so that's probably where his comment comes from.
Yes, that was his experience.
Okay, and his rating was an 8 out of 10. He said fast and easy once you get going, always changing, good picks. So he likes the art.
Yes.
Which a lot of people don't, so Colin is a big fan.
I like the artwork.
Tony said he likes that the game has a very fast pace, minimal setup, and creative style with cards and names on there. He likes that. He said the best thing it does is it creates a fun dynamic where everyone's racing against the clock to grab 10 high-value cards. So that's pretty interesting because you just really talked about Tony's strategy there.
Right.
He likes the decision point of when you get to like flipping the fourth card and you start to really get that tension of what am I going to hit. He does not like the 10 different colors.
Yes.
Which for folks that have even a slight color blindness is going to be a bit of a problem.
I think that's
it's
where...
just almost the art will do it.
The art helps, and there is a title on every card of the different artists. So if you're not... If you're slightly colorblind, or even if you're colorblind, you would want to orient on the different type of titles that are on there. So there is a availability for you to distinguish the cards. It does make it probably more difficult to do.
Okay.
But you can play it even if you are colorblind because the numbers are different.
Okay.
It's a different style.
And at least
different
the
text,
cards.
and the cards are named differently.
Okay. So Tony gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
So we'll call that an 8 out of 10 to keep it on Colin's scale. Matt says the game's very unique. It's easy to teach and learn. After one game, you know exactly how to play. And he says it has very creative artwork, a flea-themed circus. So right on there. He likes the action cards because they create fun player interaction. And they offer up a change in just the straight dynamic of, do I take a card? Do I keep pressing my luck? I kind of like that. I think that's neat that sometimes you hit those and it just makes you end your turn.
Right.
It also adds a little bit of what that group really likes in the sort of the screw your neighbor aspect. Like, I'm sorry, I have to take your card. It's telling me I don't have a choice. Matt likes, he says, deciding when it's better to take a low card because there's too many colors to risk drawing more cards as an interesting decision point. He said that after playing the game a couple times, it became evident that rushing to get a 10-card gala seemed like the best strategy. Collecting the set seems like it's wasting more cards than the bonus is worth, which is really funny because you just said he beat you with the opposite strategy.
He did do that once, but he tried different tacks of it, and I think...
he finds that works well?
Yes.
Okay. He gives it a 3 out of 5, so a 6 out of 10. Matt rates it low, but Matt's notoriously hard to please. He did say basically that he feels like the game has, once you play it once, you sort of see everything it has. But Matt likes a heavier game.
He does.
And this isn't to make excuses for his...
He likes more complexity.
This is just to sort of just put in context what Matt likes. So John said, what do you like best about the game? The rummy type feel. The basic layout and gameplay feels familiar, with the content being completely different. It allows anyone that has ever played rummy to learn and catch on quickly. So that's interesting that this is perhaps Reiner Knizia's rummy variation, which I had never thought about. The best thing, I said, what is the best thing it does? His response is, you wrote these questions yourself, didn't you? It plays, I don't know, man, makes me breakfast? Any particular decision points that are interesting? Knowing when to group cards to play as an act and what numbers work best as an act versus a gala. That's a good point, because your low number cards don't score you many points, so you want to be playing them as sets.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting. Anything you don't like. The font used on some of the cards makes certain numbers difficult to differentiate. I can see that. Overall rating and why? 7 out of 10. Family friendly, easy to learn, great artwork, smooth gameplay. Yeah. So it seems like the guys are pretty unanimous that this is, I'd say if we averaged out at 7.5 based on their opinion. What do you think of it? I want to know everything you think about Circus Flohcati.
Do you?
The flea circus game.
The flea circus game, which took me forever to realize that I'm looking at the artwork and I'm thinking, what exactly is this?
Well, it's a clown, look.
It's a clown, but look at the head. And it's like, oh yeah, that is a flea. It's the head of a flea on the body of a human. So it's a little odd.
It's very odd. I think it's wonderful.
But... once I put that together, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have known this because it's Flohcati, which Flo is flea in German, and duh. on me
so
for not recognizing
them. What
them.
do you like about the gameplay? What about this one works for you? Because you guys took to this one pretty much right away once you played it at work.
I like that it was really quick to pick up. I could teach this to just anybody, whether they are an experienced gamer or not.
And you were able to teach it, which is cool.
I was able to teach it.
This is basically the first game you guys have done at work without me.
Right.
That someone else didn't know how to play.
Right. And so it was really easy to explain it and get going. And overall, everybody really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it's a fun game. I've played it before, but a very long time ago, not long enough to really remember much. But it seems like they did a really good job. Card stock is nice. I think the art's great.
I like the art.
It's almost horrendously ugly, especially the card backs, but it's done that way very intentionally. I'm trying to put this in the right context. It is purposely a little off-putting. It's a flea circus.
It is.
So the artwork is loud and really, I think it's really cool. I love the flea heads. Yeah. Put on the human bodies. It's the clowns here with the flea heads are really
and every card you have clowns from 0 to 7, but everyone is slightly different.
Yeah, and they have the same. Each suit has the same idea, like they're the acrobats or the clowns, or
so they have the same titles, but then they have a different description of what type of acrobat or what type of clown it is.
The presentation of these cards would certainly, if you played this with someone that was new to games, they'd be like, I want to play that game with that messed up artwork again.
Right.
It's really cool. It stands out. It's beautiful in the same sort of style of something like Parade that's minimalist, but really just awesome. So what do you give this bad boy as a rating?
I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you particularly like? Anything you don't like?
I do like a little bit more complexity too.
Okay.
To keep my interest. Definitely having the action cards in there helps. It really depends how many people I have to play it with. If I have 4 people to play it with, yes, this is a really good go-to game.
Does your rating go up or down depending on player numbers?
I would say so.
Really?
Yes.
So what's it with the 3 players, 4 players, and 5 players?
I would say 3 players is probably lower. It's probably at the 7, and it goes up.
Okay.
I like it more players, to me, was more fun.
Okay.
Because it forces you to make decisions.
Okay.
Faster. There's not a lot of time left for strategy because you have all these other people building either trios or building towards a gala event.
Okay.
So you have to make decisions a lot quicker.
So the sweet spot's above 3.
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll get some chances to play this more because I like what I see. You guys have the lunchtime gaming fun. No one likes me at lunch.
Aw.
I gotta hang out with just the fleas.
Boo.
So thanks to Grail Games for sending over this review copy, and thanks to them for bringing back a game that's been out of print for way too long, because this is one that should find its way onto gamers' shelves. It's a classic filler.
Yes.
All right, that wraps up another fun-filled episode of wonderment and excitement. Your weekly dose of awesome, known as Cardboard Insanity. Weekly-ish for now, who knows. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. I think we might take a week off and do these episodes in 2-week blocks.
Okay.
So that we can split the interview between 2 weeks. And it buys us an extra week to get some more reviews, some more games in that we're going to review. So I'm thinking we might release this in 2 weeks, then take a break for just a week.
Okay.
I think it'll just give us more time to cycle through. But there's nothing set in stone there. Your next episode may appear next week. So whether it's next week or 2 weeks, our next guest on the show is the one and only Bruno Faiduti, which is super awesome. And I was editing through my review this morning, or my conversation with Bruno, and what I realized was when I was recording that is that my face hurt. And I couldn't figure out why for the longest time. And then I realized I could see myself in the Skype window, and I was smiling the entire time. It was just fantastic. So I listened to the interview this morning. It's incredibly insightful, and I'm thinking everybody will really dig it. So stay tuned for
wonderful.
that.
You heard
my side.
I hear one side of the interview. I haven't heard the full copy yet.
So you didn't hear how he was yelling at me on the other side?
No.
It's like David did the same thing. He just
Okay.
yelled at me, and I'm over here like, "Oh, how's your games?" I'm being all nice, and people are just berating me.
Right.
No,
No,
you
that
don't hear
didn't
that?
that because it didn't happen.
Oh, well, you don't know.